Welcome back. Amid a lot of trouble for Arvind Kejriwal, whether it be the Liquorgate scam or the probe agency scanner, or his suspended PA allegedly assaulting their Rajya Sabha MP Swati Maliwal, he also was the centre of a back and forth in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court refused to entertain Enforcement Directorate's plea seeking action against Arvind Kejriwal for allegedly violating his bail conditions during his election campaign. The probe agency cited Arvind Kejriwal's speeches in which he has been saying if Aam Aadmi Party or India Bloc is voted to power, he will not return to jail. Let's listen in to one of the remarks by Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, marked by the symbolism of broom versus lotus.
मैं दोबारा जेल जाऊंगा कि नहीं जाऊंगा ये आपके ऊपर है। 25 मई को अगर आपने कमल का बटन दबा दिया तो मेरे को जेल जाना पड़ेगा, और अगर आपने इंडिया गठबंधन को जिता दिया तो मेरे को जेल जाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी।
Now, the Enforcement Directorate has alleged that his remarks are a slap on the system. The Supreme Court responded saying it is open to constructive criticism, while adding its order is clear that Arvind Kejriwal will have to surrender on June 2nd to return to Tihar jail. The top court also settled the debate regarding whether it was right in granting interim bail to Arvind Kejriwal. The court said it did not make any exception in this case and its judgment was justified. This stamp of approval for Arvind Kejriwal comes a day after, in fact, it's not a stamp of approval for Arvind Kejriwal, but the fact that the Supreme Court stood by its own judgment, backing it completely, comes just a day after Home Minister Amit Shah, in an interview, said that the interim bail judgment for Delhi Chief Minister was not routine or normal. He also claimed several people believed Arvind Kejriwal received special treatment from the court. Listen in.
आप उस जजमेंट के बारे में क्या कहेंगे? इंटरिम बेल,
देखिए, सुप्रीम कोर्ट को अधिकार है न्याय की व्याख्या करने का,
पर पहली बार हो रहा है कि
मगर मैं मानता हूं ये रूटीन और नॉर्मल प्रकार का जुडिशियल जजमेंट नहीं है। काफी लोग देश में मानते हैं कि स्पेशल ट्रीटमेंट दिया गया है।
All right, I'm currently being joined by Jasmine Sandhawalia, who is a BJP spokesperson. I'll eventually also be joined by the other panelists. Jasmine, to you first. You've heard what the Supreme Court has said very clearly. It stood by its judgment. It's saying everybody has the same level playing field, and there's no exceptional treatment given to Arvind Kejriwal as the Chief Minister.
Well, I would like to begin that the Supreme Court is the final apex authority to decide and interpret the law of the land. And we have to agree with the Supreme Court and its interpretation. But at the same time, as a citizen of India, I will definitely like to say that unfortunately, the person here, the individual here, Mr. Kejriwal, is not following the rules and regulations of the land and is not even following the dictates. The term bail was given to him under certain circumstances, and certain regulations were told that they will be followed. He was asked not to participate in any kind of a debate where he was going to protect himself or talk about his case, which he immediately did after coming out of the jail. In a press conference, he reportedly, when he was asked that what does he think about the case, and he had said that he has been fixed. So, and he raised many doubts on the investigative agency of the ED. Now, the question here also is that this is an unprecedented case which has happened.
Okay, I get your point. No, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. Allow me. Allow me to get back to you. Let me just go across to other panelists at this point as well. Hakim Rizwan, what is left of this case in the sense that one of the conditions before Arvind Kejriwal, while being granted this interim bail on the grounds of elections that are underway currently in the country, he's been told not to speak about the case. And he's gone to say, Kamal mein button dabayenge, to mujhe jail mein jana padega. If you press the lotus, I'll have to go back to jail. If you press the broom, I will not go back to jail. What does he mean already? I mean, he's already saying what he's been told not to say.
No, right now, he is the representative. He is the representative of not one state, but two states. And primarily, people of the nation are looking at him as the next PM in the coming years. And right now, what Bharatiya Janata Party has done to him is something which they have been doing to everyone who raises their voice against them. And it's just a political witch hunt. But talking about what you're saying, you're giving reference of the court. It's a normal, the rules and regulations of the court. But as being the CM and the leader and the representative of the people, he has to speak because it is the election time. But if you look at the bigger picture, Bharatiya Janata Party has used establishments of the nation. If you look at the ED or CBI, they have used all these agencies in order to crack down on anybody who seems to be a threat to Bharatiya Janata Party. And if you look at CBI or ED,
what stopped Arvind Kejriwal from saying what you are saying? The whole opposition has been saying, but instead, what did Arvind Kejriwal say?
They are very good at
Arvind Kejriwal said, press the lotus, I'll have to go inside. You press the broom, I'll stay outside. The two are very different. The optics are very different. The language used are very different. Let's not play. I mean, I can't say the inference of the two may be same, but the usage of what has been said is very different.
Yeah, you are the fourth pillar of democracy. And let me tell you one thing. What Kejriwal has said is nothing big. But what is being hidden from the nation, from 1.4 billion people, is what the people of India wants to know. The cases of liquor scam, the cases where everything has been hidden from the people, the money which has been given to the corporate or oligarchs, nobody is talking about that. But when Kejriwal says something which is in the favor of democracy, constitution, and in the favor of people, then it becomes a big issue on national media and everywhere. See, we all know how these narratives are set. We all know how Bharatiya Janata Party is trying to crush the opposition. But we also know that in the upcoming
You've made your point. I've allowed you your point. Let me go across to the other panelists. But before I go across to the other panelists, Mr. Hakim, let me tell you one thing and let me assure you, bulletin after bulletin after bulletin, day after day after day, we are here asking the questions that need to be asked. Now, because I'm asking questions of Arvind Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party of something that has happened in the Supreme Court, it doesn't mean narrative. It doesn't mean narrative, and Mirror now is against it. Because you have said that on my show, it is my responsibility that I put this very, very straight. But I don't want this to become the debate. Moving on, Swapnil Kothari, as a senior lawyer, how do you look at what's unfolded in the court? The argument that the Enforcement Directorate has placed before the court, the allegations that seem to be emerging from the BJP, including a top minister of the BJP, to court saying we are open to constructive criticism, but we are very sure there's no exception given to law in this case, with a political party, a principal opponent, the BJP here, claiming that, listen, this is unprecedented.
Good evening, Sneha. I think the Enforcement Directorate is absolutely right in putting its stand forth that they've done their job. There is money laundering possibly involved. And at the end of the day, even if the case by the Enforcement Directorate is fictitious, at the instance of the BJP, as claimed by the opposition or by Aam Aadmi Party, ultimately it's the Supreme Court which takes the call on that. The Supreme Court is not wedded to any party. It is wedded to the Constitution. It takes its follows the dictates of the Constitution and the Criminal Procedure Code and the Indian Penal Code and the Evidence Act. The Supreme Court has taken a stand that you have to return to jail on 2nd June. And regardless of what Mr. Arvind Kejriwal says, that if you vote for Lotus, I'll not come, I'll be out of jail. And if you vote for BJP, I'll be in, and things like that. Those statements have no relevance at all. Ultimately, what matters at the end of the day is that there is a Supreme Court order, regardless of who someone votes for and who doesn't vote for. It has got no bearing on that case. Ultimately, it will be decided by the court as to how much
Arvind
time
Kej,
do
two
we have
things,
to put this
two things, Mr. Kothari. Two things.
in the bar.
Is Mr. Kejriwal claiming something like this, which Enforcement Directorate has objected to? Is that a violation of bail conditions? I mean, I know you can't get into the technicalities of it. You have to see the larger picture, but largely making a statement like this, where he's been told not to speak anything about this particular case, is a statement like this. Can it be seen as a violation of the bail order? Secondly, how do you look as a legal lawyer, as a legal mind, how do you look at the allegation or the claim that this is an unprecedented case? Is it?
Well, it's not a unprecedented case. Unprecedented because the Chief Minister of Delhi is sitting in jail, perhaps unprecedented as to that aspect. And I think it is unprecedented because we don't expect Chief Ministers to be sitting in jail. That's the way I look at it, as unprecedented. Not the way it's been put it out to be, and it's put a spin on that. Second part is to answer your first question, whether it's a violation of the bail condition. I think if you give a bail to a person and say that, okay, you can canvass for yourself, a few statements here and there are bound to be made, as long as they are not, insulting to the court or anything of that matter, then I don't think the Supreme Court will pay much heed to that. You have to go by simply that, okay, he's putting out his case, he's canvassing for himself. He's saying that if you vote for BJP, I'll have to go back to jail. If you vote for me, I don't have to. I don't understand, even if I vote for him, why he'll still have to go to jail. How is that possible? The Supreme Court has told him that you'll have to come back, so it doesn't matter who one votes
That's
for.
a question that I want to ask the Aam Aadmi Party. No, that's a pertinent point that you're making, and frankly, that's a question that everybody would ask. But before I go to Mr. Hakim, if I can get back to Jasmine, my one question to you: everybody in BJP is looking at Arvind Kejriwal, at what he's speaking and what he's not speaking. Of course, he's going to play politics. He's a chief minister who's been put in jail. He's out on bail. He's an accused in a massive case. He's an accused. He's not even somebody who's suspect or, whatever. He's an accused in that case. Of course, he's going to make a politics out of it. My question is, why is ED playing this in the court? Why are you not going to the court?
Well, we don't think that we need to go to the court because, as you say, that why are we so focused on Kejriwal? We are not focused on Kejriwal. He is one part of an opposition, and he's not such a big leader for us. The way the boogie is being created by his party, that we are kind of scared of him or anything. He does not, in the larger picture of scheme of things, he doesn't matter to us. The thing
forget about being scared. I mean, that's a political rhetoric. I'm not going to get into that. My question is, if he is an accused in a case, a chief minister is an accused in a case, I'm not talking about how big or small he is, why isn't BJP, which is one of the biggest parties in the country that is looking for a third, challenging him in court, saying that he has violated the conditions rather than creating a political rhetoric in campaigns or on television?
Sneha, the thing is this, that it is the ED which is investigating a case against him and not the BJP. A political party is not holding investigations against him. It is the Enforcement Directorate which has filed a case against him. And it is the ED's duty under the laws of the country that it will approach the court or the rule of the law. And I do want 1 second to say something, and that is not from a point of view from just being as a person, as a spokesperson of the BJP. I want to raise a question here, that is that will not all politicians take undue advantage of this unprecedented bail which has been given to him, and a person who defied 9 times the ED summons, and to say that because I have to go in electioneering, I should be given a bail. Okay, he's given the bail. But to instigate the electorate, to instigate the people and say, if you do vote for me, I will not go back to the jail. Is that not a defiance? Is that not a defiance against the rules and the laws of the country? This will lead to anarchy.
Okay,
This is
point
something
taken.
which
I will go
have
to Mr.
serious
Kothari on that
ramifications.
as well. But just to make a point, Hemant Soren definitely went to court saying exactly that. That there has been, Arvind Kejriwal has been given bail on so and so
And he's
grounds,
not
so
been
must
given the
I.
bail.
He's
The
not been given
Supreme
bail.
Manish,
He's not
Manish
been given bail.
Sisodia
So
has
to
not
say
been
that
given
politicians
bail.
will use this, at least in Hemant Soren case, doesn't seem to be coming together. But I will go to the legal mind, the legal brain on our show for more on that. Before that, allow me to go to Hakim Rizwan. Hakim, would you want to respond to the question? What do you mean by lotus? If you stamp on the lotus, I will go inside jail. If you stamp on if you stamp on the broom, I will not. I mean, what does that even mean? Even if the Aam Aadmi Party is stamped, how is he not going to go in jail?
I will tell you one thing.
What is the nomination that are you going?
Obviously, what's wrong? What's wrong in saying that? Isn't that a fact? How Bharatiya
It's
Janata
not about
Party?
wrong. I'm trying to
No.
understand. What do
I
you
don't
mean
want to
by that?
touch
Are you
that.
trying to say that the
You have
Aam Aadmi Party will be
got a
able
legal
to?
You have got a person here who can speak legally. You have got Bharatiya Janata Party, the party which has been in power since so long and using all the establishments. They will, they will speak on that part. But what I'm going to speak on is that Arvind Kejriwal Ji is the public representative, and the people of Delhi and Punjab has given him the mandate. And if he won't speak, then who will speak? If he won't speak, he has just spoke some words. Why don't ED and CBI and all these agencies arrest Narendra Modi ji for saying a communal slurs in Rajasthan? Why is not he been taken on board when he speaks something which is against the integrity of our nation? Nobody is talking about it. But when Arvind Kejriwal says just a simple word, it becomes a huge issue. So this is my question to Bharatiya Janata Party and all the establishments which are playing right now on behest of Bharatiya Janata Party just because they know somewhere Bharatiya Janata Party might win. But the truth is Bharatiya Janata Party has lost its ground. That's why they have been using their last card, which is
All right.
polarizing our nation on religious lines, secular, social lines, and other lines.
You've made your political rhetoric even on this show, Hakim Rizwan Ilahi, and I've allowed you well on that. But just to ask what you said, what you asked about ED and CBI going and arresting.
According to according to the
I mean,
reports
in
of
communal
Ministry of
hatred
Home
cases,
Affairs,
they are not the
according
agencies. However, I understand what you're
no,
trying to say.
let
No,
me
I
give it on
understand
the
what you're
show.
trying to say.
Let me give
Swapnil
it on the
Kothari.
show. According to the Ministry of
No,
Home
hold on.
Affairs, all the
All right,
raids that
Swapnil
CBI and
Kothari,
ED has
allow
carried
me to go
out,
to Mr. Swapnil
95%
Kothari. I gave
of
you
them
ample
are
time,
on
sir.
the opposition
I gave you
parties,
ample
and the
time, sir.
conviction rate is
Allowed you to make the
0.5%.
point. I allowed you to make the point. There's no point of both of us talking or all the panelists talking. I allowed
All
you. You
right,
would
go
agree I
on.
gave you enough time. Swapnil
All right,
Kothari,
go
if I
on.
can come to you. One of the questions that everybody is asking is, Arvind Kejriwal being given grounds of the grounds on which Arvind Kejriwal has been given this interim bail amid the elections is something that is going to be misused, abused, or used by other political leaders with vested interests, as it were, depending upon which political prism one comes in. I'm using their terms here. How would you respond to that?
Well, I think that the politics is going to be played once you allowed the man out. AAP will say something, the opposition will say something, that is the BJP will say something because it's the opposition to AAP. BJP will not say something unless AAP is going to say something. Now, if AAP has said something to Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, BJP is bound to respond in its own fashion. I don't think the Enforcement Directorate should take any of these things seriously at all. It should allow it to be played until 2nd of June. Just wait its time until Mr. Kejriwal returns to jail. Because these things are bound to happen. There are no gross violations of the bail conditions. I do not look at the violation of, look at whatever he said as violation of a bail condition. He's only canvassing for himself, which he's allowed to do. He may put a little bit of an egregious spin on that, saying that,
All
you're
right.
going to have to go to jail. But I think other than that, I think this is absolutely fine. It's just trying to, we are trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. And, these are all political, जैसे हिंदी में कहते हैं आरोप प्रत्यारोप. So that's all there is to it.
Okay. Well, the truth is, it's the peak of election campaigning for that matter. Delhi is going to vote very soon, so a lot of political rhetoric is going to be back and forth. It's going to be a norm, literally. And Arvind Kejriwal, who's an accused in a very, very important case, is out campaigning, heading his party's campaign, as it were. So a lot of attention also going to go on that politically as well. People are also watching all of this. But depending upon which political spectrum one does come from, you may have your point. Enforcement Directorate very clear. They're going to be taking this up legally as well. Jasmine Sandhawalia, Hakim Rizwan Ilahi, as well Swapnil Kothari, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
It's time for a very short break. On the other side, we'll bring you the latest.